Hello! We've got a really special storytelling session today because we're celebrating National Storytelling Week. To celebrate, I'm going to tell you a story based on a really wonderful book called Feather by a Chinese writer called Cao Wenxuan. My version of the story goes like this. There was once a feather stuck on a thorn, a small white feather. And she was stuck there for many days and nights, until eventually two girls came along the path and they saw the feather and they picked it off and said, "I wonder what kind of bird this feather belongs to." "I don't know," said the other one, looking at it closely. And she blew the feather into the breeze, and the wind carried the feather up into the sky. The feather was delighted. "Oh, this is exciting," she thought. "I'm flying. I'm really flying." Oh. And just then the wind dropped down and the feather slowly drifted down to the floor again. But that short adventure had given the feather a moment to think. If I belonged to a bird, I could fly as much as I wanted. I wonder what kind of bird I belong to. I don't seem to remember belonging to any bird at all. Just then, the wind picked up and carried the feather up into the air and then down onto a branch beside a river, where there sat a very impressive kingfisher. Now, you might not know what kingfishers look like, but believe you me, they are beautiful. They're very small. They've got quite a long, sharp beak for catching fish. But the thing about them is that they have the most beautiful, electric, bluey, turquoise, shiny, shimmery feathers. And when they fly past you, if you're ever lucky enough to see one, I've only seen one once or twice, all you see is this electric blue flash, and then they're gone. Oh, they are very, very amazing, wonderful birds. The feather looked up at the kingfisher and said, "Excuse me, kingfisher, do you think I might belong to you? And if I do you think I..." She didn't get any further because the kingfisher rather rudely interrupted. "No, I don't think you belong to me. In fact, I know you don't belong to me. Take a look at yourself in the reflection in the water down there. You'll see that you are white and plain, and you'll see that I am rather beautiful and turquoise, electric, blue, shimmery and shiny. Hadn't you noticed?" And with that, he was off, and the wind picked up the feather and carried her up into the sky and continued to blow her around and around for many hours until night fell and the wind fell and the feather fell down and landed on a branch next to an owl. Oh, wow. Owls are pretty impressive. Oh, wow. Owl, you're sort of whitey brown. Do you think I might belong to you? Fingers crossed. Ooh. The owl took off his glasses. "No, I certainly do not think you belong to me." Put the glasses back on again. "My feathers, you see, are designed to be super silent when I fly, so I can catch little creatures. But your feathers, well, look at it. Look at the edge of your feather. Look at the edge of you. Take a look. You'll see you're rough. You're a little bit messy. I'm beautiful. I'm silent. And with that, the owl was off. Silently. Well, it wasn't long before the wind picked up again, and off it blew the feather. All night it flew across the sky. And then, as the day broke and the sun came up, the feather fell and drifted down into a rather fancy park next to a rather fancy peacock. The peacock's tail was up, and it shimmied, and it quivered, and it was the most beautiful thing the feather had ever seen. It looked almost like 1,000 beautiful, iridescent, shiny eyes were looking at it, and the feather was almost hypnotized. She didn't think that she belonged to the peacock, but you never know. Excuse me, peacock, do you think I might belong to you? Do you think I might find my home with you? The peacock laughed. Its tail shimmied. You belong to me! Oh, heavens! What a thought! Haven't you seen my tail? Isn't it the most spectacular, the most wonderful, the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? And aren't you just the plainest? You don't belong to me. I'm amazed you even dare ask. Be off! Be gone! And the wind blew the feather up out of the park, over the wall, and into a little garden, where it landed on a shrub. And there sat a tiny little bird, the smallest bird the feather had ever seen. It was a wren. Brown, small, tiny, friendly. Little bird, said the feather, I know I don't belong to you. I'm not sure I belong to anybody, but would you be so kind as to take me for a fly? And the wren, being a friendly bird, picked the feather up and flew off. It flew up out of the garden, over the park. There's the peacock. There, along, through the woods. There's the owl's nest. Little hole. Further, past the river. Oh, look. Oh, there it went. Did you see the peacock? The feather asked the wren, who couldn't answer because it was holding the feather in its beak. The wren took the feather on a marvellous journey, up the river, into the hills, and up into the mountains. The wren was being very friendly. It was taking the feather on a grand tour of the local area. Big mistake, because it had strayed into eagle country. And as they were flying between two rather craggy mountains, there was a squawk, a screech, a whack, and the feather was dropped out of the wren's mouth, and the wren was carried off in the claws of the eagle. Oh, lummy, thought the feather. I don't want anything to do with that bird. Down, down she drifted, plain white, except for a small drop of blood on the side. Down, down, down she went into a farmyard. And there, strutting across the farmyard, feeling rather important, was a hen, a chicken. And there, on its wing, a little gap, a little feather-shaped gap. "Oh, chicken, hen, mother hen." The hen wandered over. "Do you think I might belong to you?" The hen looked at the feather. It did look a little bit chickeny. The hen looked at its wing. There was a gap there. The hen picked up the feather, slotted it in to the little gap, and it fit just perfectly. And the feather had finally found its home. It wasn't with a fancy bird. It wasn't with the most coolest bird. It wasn't with the cleverest bird or the most beautiful flyer. But it was home, and the feather belonged at last. Its journey had come to an end, and this story has come to an end. Now, some things to think about. I didn't make this story up, but when I read it, I really liked it because I was interested in friendships, right? I'm a teacher and I spend quite a lot of time sorting out little arguments between friends. Children sometimes who want to be friends with other children who aren't always very nice to them. I was interested in what it means to belong somewhere. And this story seemed to explore that. Where do I belong? Where is my home? Where is my safe place? Now, that interested me. But what interests you? What is the story you want to tell? Think of something you feel passionately about. Can you turn some of the ideas or some of the thoughts in that subject into a story? You might care about the environment and about trees being cut down. Could you turn that into a story? Can you find your story there? Can you find your voice? You might care greatly about friendships or bullying. Is there a story to tell there? Find your story. Find your voice. Tell it. Maybe you're really into sport. Is there a story you could tell about sport that's something perhaps to do with, I don't know, maybe it's not about winning, it's about enjoying it? Find your story. Find your voice. Tell it. There is hundreds, thousands, an uncountable number of stories waiting to be told. You need to find those stories. You need to think of them. You need to find your voice. It's important, I think, that everyone has a story to tell. And everyone has a voice with which to tell it. That's all from me. Bye-bye.